My name is Jeannie Morris, and this is my 7th SAS Viya presentation where we will be analyzing data using SAS Visual Analytics. So we were first asked to open the VA1 Practice 3.1 report, which I went ahead and done under Explore and Visualize. And then it asks us to view the items in the data pane. So you would click on Data, and here are the items we are working with. And then it asks what is the classification of employee ID. So we'll go down to employee ID, click on the drop down, and it is classified as a category. Then it asks the same question about the manager at level 1. So it is currently under category. However, prior to me messing with it, it was a measure. And later on, I'll show you in more detail how to change the categories. We're then asked, what does a frequency data item represent? And it would represent the number of employees. If we click on it, we see that, hold on. Okay, so here we see that it is, the aggregation is count, so it's counting the number of employees that we're observing. And here's where it asks us to change the classification of manager at level 1. So you do this by clicking on it, you go to classification with the drop down, and then you click what category or classification you would want it to be under. So here we want it to be a category, and it moves it up to under the category title. Now it wants us to change the format for annual salary to $13.2. So here's our annual salary, and we'll go to the format, and I went ahead and did it, but to change this up to 13.2, you're just going to put the 2 in the decimal spot. And now it wants us to rename some of the data items, so we're going to go to Employee ID, click on the drop down, and we're going to change it from Employee ID to Name. Is that right? No, we're going to change it from Employee ID to just ID, and then to save this, you're going to click your Enter button on your keyboard. And then it wants us to change employee name. So again, you'll click on the drop down, and it just wants it to be called name. And again, you'll click Enter to save it. Now it wants us to go to Manager at level 1, and it wants us to change this to Manager ID. Then in the measure group, it wants us to go back to frequency. And instead of having it named as frequency, we're going to put it as number of employees. Now it wants us to refresh the employees clean at the top, so we'll click on this button and we'll refresh it. And now it wants us to save the report. And now we will be moving on to exploring data part 1. So here we will be exploring data part 1 under the VA1 practice 3.2. I went ahead and opened this practice. So now we will be creating an automatic chart. So we will go to the data pane, and we're going to click on annual salary and frequency percent, and we're just going to drag them over. So here we have our automatic chart, but now it wants us to modify the options. So click on the options on the right-hand side. And in the object group for the name field, we are going to enter distribution of salary. And you'll click enter to save it. In the histogram group for the bin range, we want to select measure values. And then select a fixed bin count. And in the bin count field, it wants us to enter in 4 and click enter. And now it wants us to maximize this. And then it wants us to answer a few questions. So first we're going to click the largest bin. And it says, into which range do the majority of salaries fall? And more than 75% of salaries fall between 25,000 and 30,000. So 77.59% fall between this range. Now it wants us to restore and create a bar chart on the right of this automatic chart. So again, we're going to click Objects. First we have to restore this. It did not go back. Okay. Objects, and then we're going to click the bar chart, and we're going to drag it to the right side. And then we're going to go to our roles, and for the category role, we're going to choose job title. For the measure role, we're going to select number of employees and annual salary. I think it wants us to get rid of number of employees. There we go. And then for the group role, it wants us to do department. And then we're going to go to options and modify the name for this. So we're going to click custom title. And we're going to name it total salary by job and department. Alright. And then in which department are a majority of our salary costs spent, and for which job title. So if we look here, it looks like most of them are spent on the sales department, looking at this key down here. And the majority of the salaries are going to the sales rep 1. And then it asks what could be some reasons why salary costs are higher for this group. And it might be because this job title pays more. There could be more employees with this job title. And then sales rep 1 is the lowest level of all sales reps. So again, there are probably more employees with this job title because they're just starting out. And then we're going to save this report and move on to exploring data part 2. So for exploring data part 2, I've been asked to open the VA1 practice 3.2b, which I went ahead and done, and it wants us to go to page 2 and create a box plot. So then in the left pane, we're going to click options and drag the box plot over. And then in our roles, we're going to put, let's see, for the category, it wants us to put job title. For measures, it wants us to put annual salary. And click OK. And then it wants us to modify the options for the box plot, so we're going to go to Options. And for our name, we're going to put Salary Analysis by Job Title. And then in the box plot group, so we'll scroll down. And we want to change this so that it shows our outliers. And then it wants us to select averages. Now it wants us to maximize our box plot. And then it asks which job title has the highest average salary. So it wants us to click average twice so that it's in descending order. Okay. And then which job title has the highest average salary and the lowest? And we see here that Purchasing Agent 3 has the highest salary of $35,000 and a trainee has the lowest salary of $25,260. And then it says which job title has the largest number of outliers. And we can see that Sales Rep 1 has more outliers than other job titles, which is right here. And it has 215. And again, looking here, we see that Sales Rep 1 has more outliers than the other groups. Looks like Sales Rep 3 also has quite a few. And now it wants us to save this report.